Okay, so basically we're replacing this screen right here with a frame that is made with plastic instead and a gasket around the edges to seal it. And for material, we're using 5/16. You buy a box of 20, 72-inch long. As you can see, it has a curve. You have to, and corner joiners right here, and pins that you'll need to replace to hold it in at the bottom. And what I do with these pins, that cap right there, I take off 1/4 of an inch off the cap. It lets it stick it out. It lets it stick out further. You're going to need some rubber gasketing to hold in the material. You stretch it a little bit. You can buy individual bags of white, but it adds up real quick. This is black. I got it. It was about half the price of the same thing for white, so I went with the black. I really didn't care. And to seal the outside edges, this Frost King really thin gasket right here is what I use because it compresses very nice. It's got a hollow space in there, which is an air stop. And the material that we're using for the plastic is called Flexoglass, and it comes in 48-inch by 75-foot. And you can cut out. This is a piece of cut off that I have right here. It is not shrinkable, so when you put it on, you have to be careful. Be sure to verify your frame dimensions before you start putting plastic on, especially if it's a squarish window. Like I have one that was off dimension-wise by 3/4 of an inch off square, not realizing I mixed up two sides, and you couldn't tell by looking at it, but as soon as you went to start on it, you could tell something was off. And so be sure to verify your frame dimensions before you start putting the plastic on, because you will ruin it going into the grooves, and you're going to have to use another piece. I know this from experience. Once you have the plastic on all the way and trimmed off, make sure that you use your small drill bit to open up the hole right here. Go through the little piece of rubber here on the inside for your plunger before you put your outside gasket on. Here's the storm frame completed. Wanted to make note of two things on here to pay attention to. When you're putting the outer gasket on, right here, you want to bias, it's a little bit wider than the frame. You want to bias it towards the inside where you're going to pull on the knobs. It helps it set in the frame a little bit better. And also on the latches right here, that's what it looks like. You want to take off about that much so it can stick out a little bit further. Because if you don't do that, it'll just barely catch lip because you've narrowed up the frame by 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch. So I found that by cutting these off right here, like that, they stick out a little bit further and they go in. The other tip I can give you is, this is the inside, and I use that right there to show the inside, is to have a little bit of a bow this way on here, just a tiny bit, just so you can just barely see it. And on the sides, you want to have the bottom bowing out just a little bit so that when you pull the bottom in, it'll pull in evenly. If you have it the other way, it's going to be harder to, these little gaskets won't step in the side. And I'm going to show you the outside of that and where this is going to go. Okay, so the window on the right has the storm window that I made, and the one on the left still has a screen on. So we got one of these little things right here that tells you the temperature, and we're going to do it to frame right above the lock and show you the temperature is 65.8, and over here on this window 64.2. So that's almost a 2-degree difference between that has a storm that's closed up, sealed tight now, and this is the screen. So now we're going to show you how to put this screen in and how to seal the window itself so that you don't have the draft coming up through right here and down at the bottom. That's all open right there. So basically this whole frame right here, the top and the bottom, is open to the outside air. We're going to show you the outside, and we're going to take the screen out and show you that, and then we're going to show you putting a new one. Okay, so here's the old screen we've taken out right here. And this is what we're going to be putting in. and it's all set. Basically, you can just take it out, and it helps if you pull the top window down a little bit so that you can see where you're inserting it right up in here. And before we do that, we're going to take the camera and we're going to show you outside where the screen is going to fit in the channels. So this is the channel right here that the screen, is the storm window is going to fit in, and the little pins will grab against that. And up at the top, it tucks up into there. So when that rubber gasket sits down into there, it seals the entire thing, and your bottom one just sits right onto there. And believe me, it is airtight when it's done. All right, we're going to go inside and show you what it's like inside putting it in. We're going to show you putting it from the window side instead of just standing there on the deck, because you might not have access to be able to do it from outside. So we're going to do it from inside like we've done all the rest. This is the only one where we have access to a deck that we can actually look at it. All the rest will require a ladder. So basically, you just put it up in here. Push it right up. Tuck your side in over here. Just push that right into there. You'll see it go right in. Grab your other one right here and pull it right into place. Push down a little bit, and it is a sealed window. We're going to show you the outside now to show you how well it's sealed. Okay, so as you can see, the gasket is this little line right in here. Nice and tight, and that's what you want. And that's why you have this gasket, so it fills up the little gap right there. Okay, the final step in sealing these windows, because as I explained before, the frame is basically hollow and there's openings. You can see right here that the air just flows through. And the same up on top, and if you look through right there, it's the same on this window here. So the upper window. And the top, I can't show you, but the top is open on each side over here. So what we do is we take some square foams, and I have two different types here, a denser foam right here, and this I use on the top single openings, need 4 of them. And then I had this square, a little bit lighter foam. This is actually used for air conditioning. And you cut 4 thicker ones and 4 thinner ones. And basically you take a thin one and a thick one. Okay, so you're going to take one of the thin ones and one of the thick ones. And the thin one goes right up in here like this, underneath right there. And your thicker one, you're going to place it on edge, and you're going to put it right up and tuck it up into there. So as you can see, that whole thing is sealed up there. You can do all 4 corners, even the one that's up in right here. You can do that one up in there too. Okay, both upper and lower sash have the foam inserted. Down at the bottom is fully closed, and I put the last pieces in right here on each side. And that prevents the air from flowing throughout the whole frame and getting it cold. Plus now, with the other plastic window on the outside, that prevents any drafts. And believe me, there's a big difference when you get these done. I have one more window to do in the house, and as we progressed throughout the house, we started in the bedrooms. There was a noticeable difference in how long the temperature stayed stabilized, as opposed where when they were leaking and drafty, the temperature kept going up and down because the furnace kept coming off and on. So we expect to save quite a bit of fuel this winter using this, and they are reusable. Pull them out, stash them away where they won't get punctured, and if they do, you just put some more plastic on it. So to me, this is a win-win. I think cost was somewhere around $10 a piece. So to save probably several $100s in fuel costs over the next several months, I believe it's well worth it. Well worth the investment. Okay, a friend of mine was over the house, and he has these Anderson double hung windows, and he has a cold drafty. These windows are actually drafty, even though they're vinyl, and they're double pane, and they appear well sealed, but they leak around the edges. And the design I have can be utilized here also, and we're going to show you how that can be done. Basically, if you have the storm window, the slider right here for the screen, you pop that out, you'll notice it goes inside over here into the little groove right here. We're going to take that down. So basically the window frame that you'll be designing for this type of window will sit down inside of here on both sides and up at the top, all the way at the top. So basically you measure the window from right here, this point right here, the outside of that to the outside of here, which in this case is 24 3/4, and you add 3/8 of an inch because it's going to slide underneath there, the two sides. And for the height, you add 1/4 of an inch. So once you have the frame done to those dimensions, here it is right here. This is 3/8 of an inch wider and 1/4 of an inch taller than that measured opening. And I'm going to hand the phone off here to my colleague, and he's going to film me showing how it's put in. Very easy. So you want to take the window frame that you made with the plexiglass, and you want to set it up to the one side and twist it a little bit, and you'll see that it goes in right up here. Push it up in, right up in, and now you can bring your bottom in. And once you have your bottom in, you can twist it and bring it right over to the side like that. And that window is now sealed. There you go. That window's 100% sealed now. All you need is a gasket at the bottom. The other two sides, three sides are held in. And that right there is pretty much airtight right there. You're not going to get it any better than that. I wanted to go over a couple tips on the assembly of the window and putting the plastic on and doing it so that you don't create a bunch of ripples, and also you don't convex the side in here. In other words, bring it in. It should be, when you look at it, down the length of it. It should be straight. If it has an inward bow, you're going to have problems. I had to add extra gasket material on the sides to fill that up when I did that. I learned a couple tricks to avoid that. This window here is for an Anderson window my neighbor has, and we did this for his. These only need the gasket material at the bottom because the top and the sides are captured in the channel. But this part is strictly for the best way to get the plastic on, to avoid major wrinkles and to make it tight but not too tight where it actually pulls the frame in. Once you assemble your frame, the first thing you want to do to the frame is drill the holes for some kind of pull on the inside. This is the outside we're looking at. On the inside, all we're using on this frame is some simple screws. So that way from the inside you can pull it in and push it down. And you want to drill those holes prior to doing the plastic. Once you have your plastic cut, lay it out, cut it this outside, at least to the outside of the frame. You need at least that much to work with. Once you have it centered, tape down the four corners, about 3 inches down from the ends, because you'll do the ends first. And you want to hold it, so tape it so it stays tight. Not stretched, but just tight. You're going to start at the bottom or the top, whichever. The short side is what you're going to do first. And basically you're going to take your beading here and you're going to insert it down one corner first. And when you insert it, you want to press down on the plastic here so that there's slack on this side. And then when you press that in, it'll pull it tight because it'll draw the material from this side into the groove. So you put it in this side over here, press it down, lock it in. Once you have that locked in, about maybe an inch of it locked in, come over to the other side, stretch it, and do the same thing. Push it in. Don't cut it. Just stretch it maybe about 2 inches, 1.5 inches on this length. You'd stretch it out. Push it in, doing the same thing, pressing down on the plastic so that when you pull it up, it's taut. Once you press it in, it's taut. The rest of it, what you'll do is you'll take a piece of wood or something, anything, and you'll have that right up against here, and that'll hold the plastic down into there and give you all that slack. Once you have that, the entire length, you're going to just press gently down in, locking it into place kind of, following it up with the roller. For the roller, I suggest you get the one that has the fattest groove right here. They make 2 different ones, and you want to get the one with the fattest one. I have the original one that I bought, and as you can see, the groove is extremely narrow there, and it's hard to use this. It kept slipping off and everything, and this was a cheap one. You have to go to a real hardware store and purchase a professional one. This is it right here. Once you have that 2 ends locked down and you're starting to press that in, then you take your roller and starting at the center, working outward, starting at the center with the roller, you're going to press it in about halfway to each side. Once you have it all in about halfway, then you're going to press in the rest of the way, and you'll see it'll form nice and tight. There'll be no wrinkles. And then at the end, once you have that done down here, you pull it up a little bit, cut it, and press it back down in. Repeat at the top, and then do the sides. Take the tape off where you have it on each side. On the 4 corners right here, it should be taped. You take the tape off and do the sides. Same thing. Do the end and press down here. Go all the way to the other end. Press it in, and then pull the cord back into the channel, because the channel will be naturally arced like this. They come arced already. And what you want to do is you want to end up with it being straight when you're done. Basically, once you've got the perimeter sealed down and the plastic is tight, the last step will be to put your fasteners, if you're doing any type of thing like this, to put them in. Regular screwdriver, I just went right on in, and then put your seal wherever you need it, top, bottom, sides. This one is only on the bottom. So those are a couple tips on making the windows themselves. Hope that helps you out. This video is a conglomeration of several different sessions put together, so hopefully it's not too confusing. But this one session is strictly showing you how to best put the plastic into the frame.